Oh, how you doing, ladies and gentlemen? Thank you very much. It's me, Elvis Presley. My penis it hurts real bad. I had sex with all those vicarious ladies. I've had lots of STDs. My
That's
my pinkles tingling.
that's really strange because I'm also Elvis Presley, it's nice to meet you, Elvis. I'm Elvis.
Hey man, you're not Elvis, man. You never had sex with as many STDs as I have, man. Oh, think of all the STDs, man. I got them all, man. I had 'em, man.
Hey, bro, listen, I invented STD, bro. I ain't got one name.
Josh, let's hear your Elvis impression.
They call my STD and EP for
Oh,
Elvis
mama.
Presley. Hey, mama.
So at the start of X-Men 3,
That
Magneto
doesn't sound
and
anything
Professor
like
X.
Elvis.
Dude, that's not even an impression, dude. You might as
Have
well
you-
just not even try.
Have you seen that one like meme that
Have
was
you ever seen Casino?
Have you ever seen
Ray
Elvis?
Liotta's in it.
Have you seen,
have you ever seen
Elvis
that
with
one
Baz
meme
Luhrmann?
of Elvis
Hold
like
on,
holding his
wait,
head?
guys. I have a meme for this.
Have you ever seen that one meme of Elvis like holding his head and someone's like 14-year-old Charles Xavier must have been trying to talk to him through this shit.
I have seen that one. I hate that I get your stupid references.
I have not seen it, and I'm proud.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
It's a funny one.
X-Men 3.
Well, thank you for watching the Semi-Pro Film Show.
So,
thank you for
X-Men-
watching
X-Men 3.
X-Men Last
Hey,
Stand.
before we get into the episode, we want you to
Send this video to someone who you think was probably gonna die while sitting on the toilet.
This video to someone.
Thank you very
you know-
much.
This video to someone you know who can phase through walls.
So the movie starts off with de-aged
Josh,
Magneto
you gotta
and
tell him
de-aged
someone.
Professor
Send us-
X.
You gotta
Send
tell
us
him
to
someone
some-
to send
Yeah,
it
do
to.
the send. Come on, you know how we do this. We don't just talk about a movie.
We don't just do the.
We don't talk about the movies we watched on the
What a sh-
podcast on which we talk about movies we watched.
What a shame.
Get a goddamn grip.
We'll get there. Just tell him who to send it to.
So
Yeah.
I
the
mean, to be fair, we will
AI
get there.
the AI Peter
This
Griffin
episode made
live
possible by
stream
two people.
added more
Hey,
to it recently.
Peter.
The
Hey,
AI
Peter.
Peter Griffin
I
live
was
stream
I was
added
the
the
tick.
news
Hey, Peter.
Dan,
station.
don't let him talk,
Hey,
man.
Peter. I
Dan,
was the
just-
tick.
Dan,
Wait, I got my Patrick Warburton pretty good. I wanna test it out. I was the tick.
I
Hey, Peter.
understand, man. I
I was the
let,
tick.
Just let him talk.
They called me the wild blue yonder.
Just let him talk. Just give him a second. man.
All right, talk about AI Peter Griffin Family Guy live stream, please.
So-
Continue.
So in the movie Midnight Meat Train, Vinnie
No,
Jones
no.
gets on train. Vinnie Jones rides like
No.
the last train of the night.
No,
Vinnie
no.
Jones is the juggernaut bitch.
Vinnie
and
Yeah,
Jones.
but
nothing else.
Vinnie Jones
in the movie-
is the main character from Entourage.
But in the movie Midnight Meat Train, he gets on the last
The main character
train of the
from-
night
from
and he starts
Entourage
killing
is-
people.
Shut up, I don't care.
His name is.
He starts-
Vinny
Yeah, keep
Chase.
talking about.
He starts killing people, and Bradley Cooper notices that people are going missing on this train, so he starts investigating Vinnie Jones and why he's murdering these
Oh.
people. And it's been happening for over like 100 years, so he's really confused, and he
It's
tries to go to
been
the police.
the
Yeah.
happening.
Josh,
and then
Josh,
That's a
Josh,
semi-pro
Josh,
reference.
Josh, take a deep breath. Now tell them who to send this episode to.
in the movie Midnight Meat Train,
John.
at the end of it,
Hey,
I
hey.
will slice you in
Josh,
half.
tell them who to send the movie or who to send the video to, and then we can start talking about the movie.
I'll get there. In the movie
You showed
Midnight
that's a
Meat Train,
semi-pro reference.
in the movie
I'm
Midnight
just gonna
Meat
let him
Train,
talk. I'm gonna see what happens.
Bradley Cooper eventually fights Vinnie Jones on the last train out of the station. And as he's fighting Vinnie Jones, he goes to murder him. And then the conductor of the train comes out and he tells Bradley Cooper that lizard people have been living in this abandoned station on the New York City for hundreds and hundreds of years. And it's on them to keep them fed, which they have to do by killing people on the last train of the night and shoving them into this abandoned station. Send it to the lizard people who live under your train station.
There it is.
Good
Full
one.
circle.
That was good.
A
Solid.
little much explanation, but. but I like
Hey,
it.
you got there. You got,
You
there, though.
You got there, and I'm proud of you. Everybody, round of applause for Josh.
I won't be doing that because I hate him.
Right.
No,
same.
that makes sense.
So we watched X-Men 3, the last X-Men of the original trilogy, men.
Really?
That's the name of the movie.
Weird name.
I don't think that's the name. I think it's X-Men Returns.
I think it's X-Men Relapse, maybe?
I think it's X.
X-Men Reloaded.
I think it's X.
Oh wait, this
Gonna
is the
give
one
it
that
to
they called
you.
XXX. It makes sense now.
I don't think they did.
No,
this
Gibson was in this.
This was
No,
X.
Vin Diesel.
This was
And
X.
Ice Cube
It
in
was X.
XXX2.
It was X3 X-Men 3
So the movie opens with DH Magneto and DH Patrick Stewart.
And it
Patrick
looks
Stewart.
good.
It looks okay.
It looks okay. Let's not
Okay,
overstate it.
no, okay. Let me.
It looks
It looks-
very very impressive for the time.
As
And-
good as
and-
some modern de-aging.
Sure,
I-
some
Well,
By
definitely.
modern,
It looked
this looked as good as Tarkin did.
Sure.
well. That wasn't
Yeah, that was a
de-aging.
different-
That was
that wasn't
bringing a man
de-aging.
back to life.
That was a different situation.
That was man-made monstrosities
Yes, but
beyond
what
our
I'm saying is,
comprehension.
as
more
far as-
minefield.
As
Right.
far as faces created using a computer,
No,
Sure.
this
it
one
was
holds up
okay.
pretty
I think-
well.
It was good when they weren't talking, and then as soon as they started like moving, the faces kind of became a bit mushy.
There were some times even when more so Patrick Start than Ian
McKellen.
McKellen.
Ian McKellen.
More so Patrick Start than Rob McElhenney. There was just some like even
Why
when his
isn't he
face was
Patrick
static
Finish,
and he
man?
just leaned forward.
It was like the movement because
It
it was
would
very
just-
Oh yeah, it
clear-
was.
What was
yeah.
very
It just-
clear
it just
is that it
looked
was
strange.
a body, and then the faces
Right.
were imposed onto that body. Like that was pretty clear.
It-
the
it's
whole
also-
time.
I don't know the Patrick Stewart one's particularly
You
weird
said it
because
like we did.
he's looked the same
Just
for
talks
about
like
20
that.
years.
Yeah,
I mean,
I
kind
mean, but
of,
he's still
except for the
aged.
except for the aging he
Right,
did.
except for
You
the
know,
wrinkles
like
on his
like
face
he aged well. Like
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
didn't age like Ian McKellen for sure.
For sure.
Well, I mean, Ian
Um,
McKellen still
but
he
weirdly,
aged pretty
like,
well.
Ian McKellen, like he aged well, but he also looks old. He looks old as
He
shit.
visibly aged.
even
looks-
even then,
yeah,
yeah,
he
more
looked
more
old
so
the
than
whole
Patrick
time.
Start. He looks as old as he
This
is
is also-
now than
It's
20
more.
years
It's
ago.
less like it looks really really good by modern standards, but it looks
It's neither-
unbelievably
it's neither
good
really
for
great.
2006.
Sure.
For 2006,
It's also worth-
it's like incredible.
I also just want to say that this movie's the most unhinged Ian McKellen is as Magneto. He's just kind of like
disagree.
well, like the first two, he's got some, he's calm and collected, but he's still planning to take over the world or whatever. In this one, he's just like in a forest or in an abandoned church, just like yelling at people.
Well, in this one, he's an idiot.
Well,
Right.
But I would argue, and in 2, he's very he's not nearly as meticulous. He's just doing whatever to get the plot along.
no, because
I
he
feel like two-
he plans around both the X-Men and like the humans
I mean,
in two.
admittedly, I don't remember. Was he planning the whole time to like take over the X-Men's the second Cerebro? He was good. Was he going to
I
hit
think
the
he- I
second
think it
Cerebro
was
the whole
the second
time?
Cerebro.
I think it was
yeah.
implied because he like split up
I
the
just
X-Men
can't
from him
remember.
and Mystique.
Right. Yeah.
But it was still there was still the whole him breaking out of prison, all that kind of stuff. Like it never felt as organized in the second
Different
one.
context. Well, because he broke out of prison, he was kind of just riffing.
Right,
you know?
that's what I'm saying. And in this
But-
one, it doesn't. He's an idiot. Like I don't know that
Well-
he's as much unhinged as he's just dumb.
The movie opens with them doing the thing of like, oh, Jean Grey's always been a bit of a troubled child, and
Yeah.
we know that because she lifts up cars and water from Stanley's
Man,
hosepipe.
all
Right,
all the stuff
H2O.
float.
H2O, man.
The H2O reference.
What happens after that?
That's when we
her
cut to
par- her
Angel,
parents
and it's
said
the
you can-
horrible scene.
Yes, yeah, no,
Oh,
you get
yeah,
the body horror.
The real messed up the
Just
child
the worst.
cutting his wings. Yeah.
I
Little
think
ba- little
Bobbin
baby
called it
Angel.
childhood self-harm.
Right. Yeah, I was gonna try and avoid that term, but yeah.
I mean, that's what it is in the movie. Like it's
it is for sure.
I
yeah.
hadn't really the context is correct. That's not necessarily which I guess that's what self-harm is, but I took it as he was, trying to get rid of aspects of himself to make his dad happy and
Right.
whatever. But
Well,
yeah, I mean, that's
yeah, it was that. While also,
yeah.
he was a child that was harming
Right?
himself.
Yeah, for sure. And it's real
So,
messed up and it's real
It's
gross.
messed up, yeah.
But it does, and
The
we
gnarly reveal of it too, like the way
Yeah.
it's
It's
like blood
so
and feathers all
gross.
around him,
Yeah,
and then
they keep
they
it hidden
pan to
until
the
you see the mirror,
yeah
and
they
then you
pan
see
to the
like
mirror, and it's like the bloody
you
feathery
can see
like
like the bones like
bone
sticking out of
stumps.
the like back. It's
It's
And his
real
really
messed
dad
up
his
and
dad just
gnarly, yeah.
says, "Not you,"
Yeah,
which is like, God, it's real
it's
horrible.
horrible.
It's real horrible,
awful.
man. And it is.
Yeah.
And we mentioned, because I don't think any of us have seen this movie in a while. We all kind of
Yeah.
mentioned at the beginning, like, oh, way to set up Angel in a way where he's going to be in one scene in the movie. And he is.
Right.
But what it does better, I think, is it sets up his dad as, like, the leader
For
of
sh-
this
for
cure
sure,
thing,
yeah.
which is the A plot of the movie, I guess.
I guess
I really
so,
thought it was supposed to be
yeah.
the B plot, but it's not. It's for sure the A plot. It takes up the most time.
well, we
It
we
just
were
yeah, it just
we were talking
seems
about
like
this as the movie was going on. We think it's a Spider-Man 3 thing where
well, for
like
sure.
the writers or the filmmakers had this vision of, okay, we're going to do this movie about the cure. You have Angel be a big part of it. He's someone who's
You make it this very connected and emotional story about
a
this
dad, a
this
son.
anti-mutant father, this strong politically charged anti-mutant father and his mutant son, and it works as Angel's introduction. He joins the X-Men. It's whatever,
And
it's a
you
flying
play,
man.
yeah, you play Rogue into it because she wants to get rid of her
Sure, 'cause
powers, but
she's
everybody wants her to
that
keep
works.
it,
That's been set
and
up
that
this whole
kind
time,
of, they play into that. But they
her gay
also,
boyfriend's got a new girlfriend. He can turn
right.
himself into ice now.
But
I just want to say,
You can still have the stuff with John Pyro, and his stupid new
yeah,
flamethrower
it's a new
assassin
fame thing that is.
blade.
It seems really like impractical. He just opens his hand and the flame comes out. Like,
Yeah,
No, I think it's like the flint part of a lighter. So when he opens his hand, it like strikes the flint.
right,
That's
but
awesome.
it's super cool, but like
but like
can
if
he
you
can
just
he can he
open
ever
your
open his
hand,
hands without? I guess
Uh,
he doesn't always have to
I'm
wear
sure
it.
there's
But
like a particular hand, like he's got to
I
like flick
also-
his thumb or something. Like if his thumb
I-
goes,
I-
he
like
goes,
that.
"Go, Web."
Yeah,
Go
I'm sure there's
Why?
Damn.
it's like the Spider-Man thing where there's a specific hand motion where if he does
I
it,
also
Sure.
they don't like. Obviously, you don't want to use up all your effects budget, but like every time someone steps up to Magneto, he just goes like that, and he gets like a small bit of fire in his hand. He's like, "Hey, step back!" And it's the most unintimidating thing you've
it
ever
never
seen in your
looks
life.
So
good.
stupid.
It never looks
yeah.
It's so dumb.
No, I think this movie, the Dark Phoenix story, the way they do Dark Phoenix, I like. I know people don't like the explanation, and it was in her mind.
Yeah,
I think it fits these movies well.
fine. Sure.
Like it fits the first two great. It feels set
Yeah.
up even.
I definitely just think them doing Dark Phoenix
Okay,
for this
wait,
movie
hold on.
is dumb.
I disagree.
Okay.
I think the Cure thing is what they should have saved, and they should have done Dark Phoenix because
See,
Dark
I-
Phoenix. Now the
I
Cure
don't think
story is
so.
better, but Dark Phoenix is the one that they set up in the last movie.
Yeah, but
sure, but I
even
think
the
but
setup
that
last
setup
movie was
I
kind
think
of weak.
that setup was weak and dumb, but also I think would have worked better if it was like longer, if it felt like
Yeah.
she had
I
actually been dead for a
yeah,
while
but that
instead
still
of just
feels like
the next
modern,
movie. Oh, she's
That
back.
feels like modern comic book movie kind of like bias, where they do that now. Like they'll set up one thing in one
Maybe?
movie, and then they'll wait a couple before the next time they reveal it.
Yeah, but even then,
Sure,
the
but I
setup-
also just think that the Cure storyline, while also being better, it more fits the
For sure.
themes of
themes of
the
X-Men,
previous movie.
yeah.
The first one was not
The
just
first
themes
one
of
was-
X-Men, but these movies. It works as a trilogy. The first one is
the first one was
trying
like
to turn
all
everyone into
mutants.
Okay,
mutants.
yeah.
Yeah.
In that way,
And
I
then the
for
next
sure
one was
agree.
no mutants, and now you're kind
Right.
of getting that balance.
It's
of,
no
of-
mutants and or no humans, and then it's
Yeah.
make
now it's
mutants
like-
humans.
I
half-half.
definitely
It's,
agree there because these
yeah,
movies.
there's a concise and clear
If this movie was
theme.
different, this trilogy would work really, really well in almost like a Dark Knight kind of way, where they're just these. Where
And
what
so,
I mean
in a
is,
kind of way.
no,
Do
listen.
you mean like an
hey,
overarching story?
Hey, let me speak. Okay, if you
Get
let
the
me
idea.
speak,
Go
I'll
ahead.
speak.
All I said was well.
I
Okay,
was
I
talking
tried to
more to
stifle
Josh.
it.
Yeah. In a they're not really connected to anything outside of them, not really super connected to the comics, not connected to the larger universe as a whole, but we're trying to tell a specific narrative over the course of a trilogy. Like it would have been, like you guys are saying, like
Yeah.
it's this
Yeah, I get that.
humans versus
sure.
mutants, humans versus mutants. Now there's a cure, humans versus mutants, and we're telling this like kind of clear, concise story. We're telling this clear, concise story
Cohesive. Robin Gohika.
throughout these 3 movies. But instead, they were like, okay, this comic thing is super popular. Let's pull that in. We're gonna shoehorn it into the last movie. I wouldn't
Right.
be
No,
surprised.
like with Spider-Man 3, like Josh said, they what they did is they looked up Spider-Man 3. They looked up what is the most popular Spider-Man thing right now, and it was Venom.
Well,
Venom came up
Yeah.
after the ones they had
with
already done, and also Green Goblin. So they did that again, and
Right.
especially
then they looked
like
up what is the
both-
most popular X-Men thing, and it said Dark Phoenix, and they said okay.
Which I
both-
and it
wouldn't
said
be
also said
surprised.
Juggernaut, so they got Vinnie Jones in a
Both-
rubber
both
suit.
this-
I wouldn't be
and
surprised if the
Spider-Man.
Phoenix thing from the last movie was a studio note. Like they could have both.
Oh,
been,
yeah.
Sure, yeah.
I mean, there's only really 2 mentions of it. It's like the opening bit where she's going a bit sort of crazy because she's overwhelmed with hearing everyone's thoughts and stuff, and then the death at the end with the phoenix in the water. Like
Yeah.
that's kind of
Right.
the only hints that you have of these. And so, like, I mean, both this and Spider-Man people would have known X-Men and Spider-Man from the '90s series probably more than anything. Like
Mhm.
the general public, I mean.
And the
And,
two
like,
the
and in-
two like big storylines that
And the 2 big
series did,
storylines were
the
Dark
Phoenix
Phoenix
and, Days of
and
Future
Venom.
Past. Well, I mean
And
for
Venom.
X-Men, yeah,
well, yeah,
Right,
fair,
yeah.
fair.
and the
X-Men, yeah.
Venom thing for the '90s.
But like
Spider-Man, yeah.
that's what I mean. That I think the people who made this probably had that vision of the Cure storyline. You know, you have the more connective tissue of that go through the movie. But then the studio said, "Oh, people really like Dark Phoenix. You should do Dark Phoenix."
I also,
and then
we might be giving the writers of this too much.
we
of the
there is
benefit of the
that is
doubt.
also very possible.
Like,
It's not
it
like
could
the
have been
X-Men
they were
movies
just
are
like,
exactly the.
Hey, we don't trust this Dark Phoenix thing, so we're gonna put in a storyline about a cure, and then that one just.
I mean, it's
wound
not
up
like
being
the
the
X-Men
better one.
movies have had the highest standard of
maybe
writing.
so.
I just
feel
two
like
are really tight stories. Like they
and I feel like it's such like a clear cut thematic like consistency
through
with
line, yeah.
with those specific things.
and the Dark
know,
Phoenix story feels
All
like
mutants, no mutants.
it feels like
cure,
such a
whatever.
departure from those first 2 as well.
Well, also,
Right.
like in keeping with that, the whole Cure they introduced Beast in this movie, which only
Awesome.
really makes sense with the Cure storyline. The
Sure,
Dark
yeah.
Phoenix stuff doesn't really like.
He never once interacted with Jean Grey in the movie.
He
no,
also
he-
never really played into the Cure other than being a
There was the
a
one
voter.
scene where his hand turns
Yeah,
to
like
human.
it-
Oh no, because they have that
Obvious.
other scene of like.
They implied that he was interested in the cure
Well, no, they
for
have, like,
himself.
They
I
have
think.
a couple scenes where like he's talking to the government and he's like, "You are weaponizing this. Do you not see that that's like a
Right.
slippery slope?"
right, but that could have been
like-
anyone.
Yeah, but the
Yeah, but
fact that
it works better with
it works
with it being a
with Beast.
mutant, you know, and
Sure.
Beast, who's
A disgusting
Secretary
Smart-
for Mutant
smart mutant.
Affairs,
yeah,
who in another world would have been H2O man.
right? Should have been him.
right.
So let's talk about Beast for a
Turn
second.
into water.
I mean,
Let's
he
talk
looked
about
like-
Rest in Beast. He looks great.
He looks real cool.
I really like Kelsey Grammer in this role. Like a lot.
He's great. He's got a sick jacket that
He does
doesn't
have a
fit
sick
him, but it looks
jacket.
awesome.
I would
He's got, like,
watch
a
like
suit.
a Vice style political drama with him as Beast. I think that'd be sick.
Make a
Sure,
Logan style
yeah.
movie with Beast.
Yeah.
Cast
watch
Kelsey
the
Grammer,
box
watch the
office.
office explode.
Like
Cast him-
genuinely,
Get
like
Ratner to come back and get Brett the Rat Ratner to come back and direct.
Like
Watch
I think
the
it'd
box
be,
office.
I think it'd be sick. Like I just like him so much. And my favorite
No,
aspects.
he's great.
Like, at
They'll
the
bring
end-
him back for 2 scenes in
Oh, I'm
Secret Wars.
sure.
Just you
I'm
wait.
sure.
I mean, they've already started.
They
He was-
already
He was
CGI'd him.
fine. He was fine at the end, like when it was in the big action scene. But my favorite moments of watching him were like in those boardrooms where he's like sitting around and he's talking.
Where
with all
you
the
have all of the
politicians.
normal looking
I
people.
do. I do
just
really like
Blue
that
Man
visual
in the
of just
It's
Harry
sick.
Blue Man in suit
Well, and it's-
in normal situations. No,
and
these
it's
normal
also-
like business type
the
political.
mutie with the
shits.
normies. It's
Right.
also like it is like not
Don't call 'em
only
muties.
the visual comparison is interesting, but even just like this idea of somebody who's had to really fight his way
Right.
up the ranks. and,
Yeah, for
you know,
sure.
like that would be such a fun kind of story, and I really like him in this. He does a great,
Yeah, I also think it'd be funnier if he didn't wear shoes. You could see his big blue feet all the
he
time.
for sure should not be wearing shoes. even
And
though
he
he's
should
wearing
run on
them.
all fours and maybe have a giant nose.
Right. So, it's one giant
One
nose on
nose.
Kelsey Grammer's body. Write that down.
Kelsey Grammer not playing Kelsey Grammer?
Also, on the topic of actors in this movie, I
There
think
were actors in this movie?
while it's my favorite look for him and he has one of my favorite scenes, I don't like Logan as much in this movie for some reason.
He's more of a dick than like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
He
well,
has
in
to
the
take
other ones-
Scott's role, but no, it's not even that. He's an idiot. He's an idiot.
Well, yeah.
Everyone's an
in this-
idiot.
everyone-
Like in the
Everyone's
last
an
movie,
idiot,
like
yeah.
they were smart and they were figuring stuff out. And
Well,
they were whatever.
and, like, if they
everyone in this
were
movie's
idiots-
dumb.
If they were idiots in the last movie, it's because they got caught off guard or like something
I mean,
happened
there
that
were
would shake
in
them up.
any movie there have to be
You need to have a
situations where
certain level of,
someone
like-
some number of the characters make a stupid choice or
Yeah.
make stupid so they can redeem themselves, so they can go through the character arc that has to happen in a movie to have movie stuff in the movie.
But in this
I mean, it's
movie,
a talking dog.
In this movie, everyone is
Everyone is that character.
Everyone's
Instead
an
of-
idiot.
Well, it's not even that they're that case. It's not that they make a stupid like one stupid decision or like a silly mistake. They do one dumb thing. It's that everything that happens is stupid.
It's very much in line with the first one, in that everything that happens to push the plot along. You remember we talked
Sure,
about
yeah.
that? But in that one, it was more like situational. In this one,
Right.
it makes them dumb.
Well, like
Yeah.
Logan in particular as well as being dumb, he's also just really standoffish. And like in the first one, that
And
made
horny.
sense.
He's real horny in
He's
this
real
one.
horny. But in the first one, he was
Get
like, you
it.
know, he was an outsider.
She
you
ripped
know?
his belt off with her
We'll talk-
mind.
we'll get
Come
there,
on.
we'll get there.
there.
In the first movie, he was like an outsider, and then he got brought into this weird place, and all these people are kind of like dicks to him, but you know he doesn't understand, and he warms
I
up.
mean,
Whatever.
yeah, he's got this PTSD, this memory
He's a
loss,
lone wolf,
this
yeah.
unexplained past. You know, he has reason to be standoffish,
But then
and
by the
he's
third
been a
movie,
freak his whole life. Whatever.
this
he's been
movie
he's been
also-
fighting in a cage. You know.
Other than Jean dying, you could really skip the second one. Other than Jean
Yeah.
Grey's death, this doesn't really
Well-
feel like a sequel to the last one in any way, because none of the
Yeah.
characters' growth matters.
Sure,
Like
for sure.
Rogue learns to be okay with her powers and her relationship with
I
Bobby in
mean,
that one. Like, because
kind-
at the
kind of.
end,
Sort of.
well, at the end they kind of accept it and they're like, we're gonna make this work and blah blah blah. And then in this one they backtrack on that and she's very self-conscious about it again, which I know makes sense for like real
Yeah,
life. But I'm talking about
one that
movies.
one works and is fine. I
Logan
don't know.
learns to be
the
part of the
Logan, the
team.
Logan one specifically, like Logan did have a clear arc throughout the second movie, much more so than the first one. Like he had it a bit. He worked with them, but it was just like you know, I just had to help the kid, and now I'm gonna steal your bike, and you know,
listen
Even-
to bye.
right?
Even like Xavier's arc in the last one, he kind of learns like the dangers of his own powers, and then in this, it's all out the window.
Well,
Like
in
it
this
really
one,
feels like they took all the character arcs and they're like, we're going back to the drawing board. We're starting over.
in the first two, you know, Xavier
Yeah.
feels like he
But I
cares
really
about the
think
kids.
I really think
We'll get to
all of
Xavier
that
in a
all of
second.
that stuff. I really think all the the backtracking on the characters goes directly back to Dark Phoenix being in the
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah.
Because
for
without
sure.
that, you
Need all
wouldn't
of that
need
to
any of
happen.
that.
For
And
sure.
maybe the Rogue stuff, but I disagree on that being backtracking. I think that works and is in line
that's a
with.
natural
with her
progression.
character.
It works if it's your main focus. Like it works if it's like we're really
I don't think
hammering
it, I
this
don't think
home.
I don't think it even has to be like
I
I
just-
definitely think a more clear cut focus on her throughout these movies would have been making her a better character throughout these movies
sure.
would have been
I saved
would have
your
been
life.
cool. I saved your life.
But it just- it
making her more of a
ended-
character than just my powers suck would be like,
Right.
Well,
you
but
know.
what I guess I'm more saying is like it ended on the last movie ended with her story on this note of like hope and optimism, and we're gonna work
Yeah.
towards it. And then in this one, with no prior prompting other than Kitty Pryde saving her boyfriend, she's just like, I gotta go and get my powers taken away, and it's like, okay.
Well, the implication it was that she lost her boyfriend because they couldn't make it work because that's
But I don't even think
because
they,
how could
they
you?
lost each other. Like they never say that. All
I feel
Kitty
like
Pryde
I feel
does
like
is,
the
it's heavily
I feel like the
implied.
implication was that she was not
I
with
don't even
with
think it was like
Bobby
heavily
Ice and
implied.
that he was.
I mean, Bobby goes.
It never
Bobby
it never
goes
really
ice
showed
skating
them
with,
together. Yeah,
with
it
Katie
the
Pryde.
romantic focus was clearly on.
But there was no
on
real
him and-
romantic focus. Like she just saved him.
I mean,
in
it
the
wasn't
opening
much.
training.
It was she saved him. They were always together. They went romantically ice skating, and she
did go ice skating,
mournfully
yeah.
looked from the window and was like, "Oh, my boyfriend and his new girlfriend. That's so sad." She said, my boyfriend and his new girlfriend. It's so sad.
My
I
boyfriend's
saved
new
his
girl-
life. She saved his life.
Yeah,
My
but I
boyfriend's
just,
new girlfriend bought me a Switch while they go on a date.
it's just like it's fine. And I just think if you're gonna tell that story and
But
do that with the
that's-
cure thing, that needs to be your focus. But
Well,
if
yeah,
not,
that's the
it feels
problem
like
with
this
it feels
whole
like
movie.
a backtrack on the last one.
This whole movie feels
For
like
sure.
the two storylines that have been even the ending. Like, yeah, I'm gonna just jump to the ending real quick, but like the Magneto stuff gets resolved with the cure, and then a second later you're dealing with the Dark Phoenix stuff, completely unrelated to the whole cure thing
Yeah.
that just happened 20 minutes
Right.
prior.
No, it literally it's just
But
it's
did it get resolved?
remember that she that's movie. But no, but it's remember that she's in this movie because
Yeah,
that's how it goes. It's this
I
entire
forgot
it's this
that she was
entire
in that
fight
scene.
completely legitimately. It's
Well,
this entire and so
that
we're jumping to
happens
the end.
3 or
We'll
4 times, like throughout the movie. Like we'll get back.
we'll
to
cut
the
we'll
end.
cut back. Yeah, but
that
but
happens
it's
3 or
this
4
entire
times. Like Dark Phoenix pops up, does something crazy.
But it's like I mean it's the most evident in the last scene where it's this entire it's the big final the final scene, the final clash, the good mutants versus the bad.
There was
It's all
20
been
minutes
building
of
to this.
fighting.
It's all the mutant powers, all the stuff. It's he throws Logan again.
right. But
Beast is doing a bunch of flips.
what
They're
I'm
all
more
using their
saying
powers,
is-
and then after all that's resolved, it's they literally just like
It's like
people
a
move out of the
pan.
way, and it's a pan over, and she's just standing there. It's yeah, remember she's
But
also
it's,
here.
It's not just then. Like it's literally every
It's
time
the
you
whole
start
film.
Every
Yeah.
time you start to forget that this is a Dark Phoenix movie, it's like, oh, we need to insert a Dark
Well,
Phoenix
because
scene.
it's
and so
not
they
a
do.
Dark Phoenix
Well, like,
movie.
okay,
Sure,
well,
but
like,
that's
like,
what I'm
like, at
saying.
the start of the film, you know, they have the training montage, whatever. Then Wolverine's a dick to Scott. Scott's like, my girlfriend died. I'm gonna go for a drive. He gets killed. They find
Yeah, so Scott goes to the lake where Jean died. She does a laser blast. She comes out. They kiss, and then she
kills him.
explodes him. And
Are
then
the-
presumably.
Are the laser blasts
that's-
and her coming out of the water connected? Because it
I,
felt
it's,
like they
I mean,
were.
I assume so
probably
because
it like woke her up or something. She was
Yeah.
in her Phoenix sleep. I don't know.
Or
Odin
did she
sleep.
like? Did she like?
You're right.
Did she like speak to him? To
Oh
she-
no,
she was-
there
she
was. Yeah,
was-
he was hearing
was,
her
like,
voice. He was hearing her
mentally,
voice. Yeah.
yeah.
That's why
But-
he went there.
But like, this is what we're talking about. You know, Scott gets killed. Storm and Wolverine go to find its glasses and find Jean, and then they
Right.
talk about the cure for about 15 minutes. There's a scene with Beast and Wolverine. They're all talking about the cure and like, oh, you know, it's a thing. It's
Who's
not a
the
thing.
furball?
And then they cut back to Wolverine just
You're an
waking
animal.
up Jean. They cut back to
Right.
Wolverine waking up Jean because they had to be like, oh, by the way, remember this is a
No,
thing
they
in the
cut.
movie.
They cut to Wolverine staring directly at her breasts.
Okay, yeah, we need to talk about this scene for a minute.
It's real creepy.
Oh
It's
yeah,
just-
are you reading my mind? No, clearly don't have to.
It's
You're looking
creepy.
straight down.
It's very Brett Ratner.
Right, Brett the Rat.
Not only that, but also, Jean Grey takes off Wolverine's belt with her mind.
That she does, yeah.
she
Let me just
Xenia-
say, he's a stronger man than I.
Strong,
It's all
strong man,
say.
man. But it's a
My
weird.
new Excelsior super fans,
It's
new
horny, man.
superhero, man.
he has the powers of a man.
It's a weird.
It's real weird.
It's
she's
real weird.
I think before this we got the stupid Patrick Stewart exposition of
Oh yeah,
he was
about,
really
like,
strong mutant powers as a child, so I gaslit her into
He-
thinking
he
she didn't
basically-
have these strong mutant powers, and also she has a second persona that came to be known as the Phoenix.
She basically has mutant schizophrenia.
Yeah.
It's more like it's mutant
Multiple
multiple
personalities,
personalities.
Right,
yeah.
my bad.
Which I think is
Including
a form of
multiple men.
schizophrenia.
I don't think so.
none
I
of
think
the
there's
three of us. The three of
We-
us do
we-
not have the mental health degrees to be able to discuss.
She's
that
got the
mutant
Moon Knight.
stuff.
She's got the Moon Knight thing.
got the Moon Knight
She's got the
thing.
thing from the Moon Knight.
But the like, I don't know. Xavier in the past couple of films, like he never really did anything questionable. Everything he did because he cared about the students, and that was the
Yeah,
thing. is
he
that
was
he
seemingly
cared more about the students
pretty-
than he did himself.
pretty good guy. Yeah.
In
And
this
then
one,
in
he's
this one-
the worst.
In this one, they suddenly just come out and like, oh yeah, telekinetic, what was it? Oh yeah, telepathy. Telepathically, that's the word. I
Yeah.
telepathically gaslit her into thinking she wasn't as powerful as she was.
Well, it's
Right.
not just that.
No,
like,
what he
there's
said
lots of
directly, I
moments.
think, was I set up a series of psychic barriers in her
That's
mind.
Yeah, I thought it was
Yeah.
blocks, but it's barriers.
Yeah.
And like fine, like oh, he's trying to protect.
And like I
everyone.
get it. I
It's
I
the way
do
he-
get it.
It's the way he talks about it and the way he's interacting with Logan. He's like, I don't need you. I'm
Right.
Patrick Stewart, and then he just
Yeah, I'm
walks
Patrick
away.
Stewart. I do what I
Well, yeah,
want. I
it's-
gaslit
it's-
her. She was crazy.
Like,
It's
It's
very
not an
much like-
illness.
It's very much just like, oh, I'm better than you. I've been doing this. Leave me alone.
Right.
But like,
which I will say, and I think I'm in the minority here because I don't think the two of you like it. I really like the explanation for how the Phoenix works.
No, I think
for
it's
this universe.
interesting. I think
It's
it's interesting, and I think
it
I think it would have been fine, and I would like it and appreciate it much more if it was done well. Like if it wasn't in this movie, if they had just waited for and like just done a fourth one.
I
You know,
even
just
really
save it.
like. I even really like the idea of like kind of flipping the script of like kind of the humans have been anti-mutant this whole time, and now it's one of the mutants working against other mutants. Like I really like that kind of play on the world, play on whatever, and because he did that, he created this monster. Instead of just helping her get to where she needed to be, I really like the way they handle the Phoenix. I just
Yeah,
wish
no, it's-
it was the
it's
focus of
neat.
the movie.
right.
And it's not.
Yeah.
It needs for that explanation to take this character who people really like and he's done all these great things and he's really helped people out and then turn him into this like I'm literally controlling your mind.
Yeah.
It's a weird jump and it's very jarring unless you can spend a movie kind of fleshing it out. But they don't because they say that he does it and then 20 minutes later they kill Charles off.
Right, he turns to dust. Excelsior super fans.
it's
the
super
Dust Man.
He's
Well-
Dust Man.
It's like they had no idea what people enjoyed from the first two.
Well,
Yeah.
And I know they sideline Charles in every movie. I get that, but just going and
But
just
this is-
killing
this
him
is-
off is
this is
wild.
blatantly different. And I get like they killed off I guess 3 of the main X-Men counting Charles.
Sure.
who didn't actually die. He was in the coma man's body or whatever.
But okay, but even then, if you want to actually not have to sideline Charles and use him in one of these movies, the perfect one to do it in is the Phoenix one, because she's
Right.
the only mutant more powerful than him.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, but I like.
And also you can still like you can have even if it's just that same scene there, but he's actually like fighting back a little bit. Like there's a little like mental battle or something.
Like
And
in
then
Doctor Strange.
sure, and then he gets sidelined there, like 30 40 minutes into the movie, whatever, at whatever point that is, 20 minutes even, who knows.
From a trilogy standpoint,
And then it's
I
just
think the
X-Men,
perfect,
whatever.
The perfect end to this, like to bookend this trilogy, would have been to actually let Charles fight.
Sure.
And if
yeah.
you're gonna do that, the only villain you can do that with is one that's more powerful than him, and Jean Grey is that, like, because Eric is not more powerful than him in any way, shape,
Right,
or
but even
form.
just from a movie perspective, like at that point they would have to lose, like they have to
Sure, you have to
conflict
have
and
the
then
middle,
lose.
yeah.
You can't
You
reasonably
know?
do that in the confines of like a movie structure.
Sure.
I mean, you can. You have them conflict. That scene in the gray house, they fight. He
I
gets
think the
sidelined
house
for a
was, like,
bit.
blue.
The X-Men, no, it was red and it said 69 on it.
It said
Yeah.
1769.
It did.
1738 actually.
1738.
1738.
It's a Jerry Seinfeld reference.
Yeah, it's a true. So Google
Look
Jerry
up
Seinfeld,
Jerry Seinfeld
1738.
1738.
Look up Mark Wahlberg, hate crime. He hates crime.
No, and I want to get to this point because I stand by this. I don't think this movie's that much worse than the other two. It's just
Yeah.
It's not as bad as people make it out. Like the drop off isn't as bad as people
It's
make it out.
there-
no,
I don't
it's
even think
no
there's a
less.
significant
It's no less
drop-off.
enjoyable.
It's
No,
just
no.
different. It's so much. It doesn't.
There is a drop off because it's
because everyone's stupid.
like we're that, but we're like I'm gonna keep comparing it to Spider-Man 3 because
It's
it
a
feels the
fine
same.
comparison,
It's there's too many things happening.
Sure.
And like both of the things, both of the main things that are happening are
drastically
both
more
good.
interesting than the B plot.
well. I'm more mean like the Dark Phoenix stuff is interesting and cool, but it feels shoehorned in and it shouldn't be here, or it should be the focus. And the same with the mutant cure stuff. But they shouldn't both be, otherwise it's weird and it's muddled and it's Venom and Sandman and Harry Goblin. They hit the second Goblin.
Unless you can, if you could have
Can
tied
we go one
in,
podcast episode without making it they hit the second tower, Joe?
unless you can tie
They
in
hear the
that,
second podcast.
if they could have tied in that Phoenix
Sure,
storyline
yeah.
into the, because you could have easily.
Because you could, make it
the
make
government
it you
is
cure her
coming up
instead
with
of
like she's a threat. The government is coming up with a cure nuke they're about to drop on Manhattan or something.
okay, well,
And the X-Men have to stop it from happening, but also
maybe
stop
maybe
Jean
just
Grey.
maybe just like a gas, like they're releasing a gas that
Sure.
that-
Either way,
that
but you
mu-
get what
that
I'm saying.
cures
Like
the
tie
mutants,
them,
yeah.
marry them together. Basically,
Sure.
what I think
do something.
they should have.
Something.
They should have
Anything,
written.
please.
You could have maybe written him back on the good guy side, whatever. Write Eric out of the movie, and have Jean lead this like mutant revolt against the
Well,
cure.
I'm trying to think.
Because they
I
keep trying to use
like
the
that
cure
idea.
on her.
Yeah, like it's the same. Like Magneto recruits Jean. She's like, oh, like like after she beats Charles and doesn't kill him, but just sidelines him briefly. Goes, Charles wants to control you, but I'll let you in my brotherhood of mutants, even though you're a woman. It's called the Brotherhood.
We should have called it the sisterhood, but what happened?
So and then she joins, and he's like, "Oh wait, you're actually kind of crazy. You're like blowing people up with your mind and stuff. That's a little extreme and for
I
me.
may
And I'm a
have to give you
terrorist.
the
I'm a
cure.
terrorist."
And
I
then
may
she
have to,
like
and then
flips
he
the cure around and stabs him in the neck or something.
right. She cures him and gets him out of there, and he kind of just sulks off to the side and maybe
Yeah,
does a little to try
maybe
and
he
help the
goes to
X-Men.
the
Whatever.
mansion and like
Maybe he
think
just
we're
goes and
making
plays
this movie
plays
worse.
chess. You know, no.
No, I
Shut
don't
up.
like, but if you, it's not. Both of these storylines are really really good. They're just, they're
Well,
all right.
I'm trying to-
They're
so,
interesting.
They're so
They're both-
disconnected from one another that if you could marry
Yeah.
them, you can have you can have a good story with them. But they didn't marry them at all. It was like
Well,
Jean was
the-
just
I'm-
there.
like I was
Right.
thinking while we were watching this, like I kept thinking of the actual Dark Phoenix film because that is a movie that's dedicated entirely to that storyline.
I have
you know?
not seen Dark Phoenix.
It's
so-
not very good.
I think I
There's
fell asleep during that.
there's like
one.
what I really can't. I remember Jessica Chastain is like a blonde alien. And there's a really cool scene with the train where all of the X-Men just murder a ton of people.
Don't we know her
Right,
nephew?
that's the midnight that's the
do.
midnight meat train
At
express.
the midnight meat train. But the like, I was thinking about. We keep saying the Dark Phoenix idea is really good if you focus on that, but we have a movie that focuses on that, and even that's not very good.
Well, it's less that and more the way
I don't think
That-
I
that
don't
one
think like
didn't
admittedly
work
I don't
differently.
think I've seen the full Dark Phoenix movie. If so, I don't remember it. I'm pretty sure I fell asleep.
really
But
I've
who's
forgotten
who's
most
to
of it.
say?
I haven't
But I
seen it.
don't think that the reason that movie is bad is because it's focusing on Dark Phoenix, one of the most successful X-Men comic stories and animated series plot lines
I also
ever.
think part of the reason that movie failed is
I
because
think it's just because it's
we
bad.
never really had time to get to know those X-Men, those versions of the X-Men characters.
They really
Yeah,
did
well,
just jump
They
into
had
those
Apocalypse,
ones.
and then they kind of just went, oh, okay.
I
you
think
know
the
them.
reason that movie's bad is that they gave them all those cool silly suits at the end of
And then
the
gave them
last
the
one,
yellow-
and then
the
gave them
worst
the
yellow
different stupider, goofy suits
Right.
instead.
But it's less that, like, it's not, hey, don't focus on the apocalypse or apocalypse. It's not don't focus on the Dark Phoenix stuff. It's literally just it feels so disconnected from the rest of
Also,
the
this
movie.
is entirely
Right, like
unrelated.
it could have like it legitimately could have had the same amount of focus on each of these plot lines, but just have them
But marry
connected
them,
in
yeah.
any way whatsoever. They don't even have to
Yeah.
be married. They could just be like friends with benefits
or
type
like
shit. They
roommates
they just fucking on the D-Lo. Like, yeah, they roommates.
the only
they're
like connection that
acquaintances even like
the only
have
connection
them
that
meet, have them talk.
the two storylines have is
But I
that
don't
they
even know the woman.
geographically they take place at the same point.
They end
no,
at the
they
same
conclude
point.
in the same place. That's
Yeah,
all.
That's
that-
about it.
That's it. Yeah,
It's two completely separate plots.
they're talked about in the same sentence once, maybe.
It's
if
not even
that.
really like we've been calling it a B plot this whole time, but it's
It's
not
really just two separate.
It's
There's an
literally
A plot
just
and a
two-
one plot.
Yeah, there's an A plot and then
Right.
there's a whole other A plot. Like they
Also,
don't...
this is entirely unrelated, but I was looking through the IMDb to try and see if I was right about the young angel at the beginning being the kid from Shark Boy and Love Girl. It is, but I also
Okay,
saw
great.
that Psylocke was in this film.
Really?
Yeah, which again just leads into my theory that they just threw in a load of named X-Men and were like, we'll be able to
Oh,
market
yeah.
these as
No,
toys at
what
some
they-
point.
Yeah, that's exactly what they
Right.
did. They were like, all right, we'll call that one Psylocke, we'll call that one Blob, and then put a,
I like
put a
that one
sticker on it,
point-
sell it as a toy.
I like that one point at the end of the film when, like, you know, you have the big battle. Magneto goes like, "Arclight, use your sonic claps" or something like that.
Right.
It's the most thrown out there line because
Yeah.
I'm 99% sure before that point we don't even know that person's name.
No, she's
Like, they
never.
are not-
She didn't speak.
She was
Now,
she
I
was
will
she was
say-
shown like once or twice
She
before
gets shown
that.
with the
That's it.
porcupine
you see
man.
her. I also think because I know part of
You
the
see
Fox,
her, but not that much. Like she's
No,
part
she's
of the
barely in
Fox
it.
deal was that I think Marvel still got toy rights. Like they still got merchandising rights from these movies. Marvel Comics did. I think that was part of their deal when they sold the film rights to these. So that could have also been a Marvel thing. Like, hey, can you put
Like,
Psylocke
throw
in
in
this
this-
movie?
throw
Hey,
in
can
the
you?
Psylocke,
Hey,
throw
I'm
in the
Stan
Blob.
Lee. Can you put in
Throw in-
H2O?
put in H2O. Put in the
know.
man.
Also, not that I think all of these movies have a ton of effort going in, but going into this being one of the
The first
lesser
two
projects.
do. Like this movie.
No, they do.
More
I say
so,
that, but they
more
do.
so than Spider-Man 3, because I know people make this argument about Spider-Man 3 and it gets on my nerves, but I'm gonna make it about the X-Men movies. This movie does just drag this trilogy down, because the first two are so much better than this third one.
No,
which
they
is
are. But
not the opinion I had moments ago.
I was just gonna say, weren't you saying drag the opposite?
But the
but,
more
like,
we talk about it, the more I dislike it.
Yeah.
This movie has a certain air of like laziness to
Yes.
it that the others don't have.
Yeah.
And the part that I think of when I think of that is when Magneto talks to all the mutants in the church and he rallies them all together. He speaks to three in particular. There's Arclight, who we didn't know before. There's the
iconic
Porcupine
Sonic
Man,
clap.
the Porcupine
Mr.
Man,
Porcupine.
The clap.
The
then-
clap.
and then there's another one whose name I have no idea what it is, but she runs really
She's
fast.
She's fast and
then- and then at the end of it, she goes like-
can
she goes like-
sense other mutants.
That's
exactly.
Psylocke.
No, that's not Psylocke.
That's Psylocke.
It can't
It
be.
could be. It could be. But like that's what I mean is she can run really fast. That's the mutation. And then they just go, oh, by the way, she can also track mutants to where
And
they
also,
are.
she can do
To
this
be
thing
fair,
that we need for the plot.
If
She
it-
could do the thing that Cerebro needs like a whole ass
Right.
room to do.
Now, also, to be fair, it would be one thing. This episode made possible by To Be Fair. It would be one thing if they introduced
This
that she could
episode made possible by the thing.
It would be one thing
He's
if
ju-
she could run really fast and then 30 minutes later they reveal that she can find other mutants, but they do it in the same scene, so
Sure.
it doesn't bother
It's
me
in the
nearly
same
as much.
sentence.
Yeah, exactly. That doesn't bother me because it's like, oh yeah, she's
I
got both of
I
these
just
powers.
think like
It's a ridiculous power, but
Why
the
not
movie
just-
presented it right.
it. I mean, sure. I feel like make it one of the other characters. Why make it her?
There
Like
were only 3 of them. They couldn't afford to pay another actor.
there were other actors in that scene. Make it the Blob, even.
Make
like
it the Toad ripoff.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was just the
I
Toad,
think it was just
probably.
Toad.
I don't know, but looking through the IMDb, there was a character listed as the Gnat, which I think that might have been, or Flea. That was the other one, and I think that
Oh,
might
the
have been him.
Tick.
See that
The
that
tick.
doesn't
Hey,
bother me.
Peter.
That doesn't bother
I'm the
me
great
as
blue
much.
yonder.
It just doesn't.
It's not. It doesn't bother me, but I just like. I think it's emblematic of the movie's
Emblematic.
just laziness
Great
and
word,
and
dude.
and-
Great
and-
Talking about
terminology, bro.
embalming.
like it's representative of how the film just treats itself. It's like, oh, you need this to happen. Oh, Jean Grey decides to kill Professor X.
But still,
Uh,
the first one's that way, very much so, and I like that one more than this one.
Yeah,
but the
I mean
first one's
it's
more
like that, but
streamlined.
it's yeah.
No, the first
it-
one just has one plot.
that could be it. It
this-
it's got
first
it's got a
I
clear.
I figured out how to word it. Okay,
It's got a
This
well,
movie
it's
has-
somewhat clear.
this
it did
movie
sorta,
has an A plot and a B plot, but no plot. Like it's got this A plot, it's got this B plot, but they never turn into one cohesive thing. The first one, very similar
Yeah.
in that everything that happens for convenience. Literally throughout the whole
Right.
thing. It's like convenience, convenience, convenience. But it's all building towards one climax, one ending. Whereas
Well,
this
yeah.
one has
Wolverine
everything's
fights
happening
Wolverine.
for the plot of this plot, and everything's happening for the plot of this plot, and then the ending is its own thing, and we're gonna try to shoehorn both things together.
Well, no, because I,
I mean,
don't
I
even
think
that.
I think really the problem is that this movie doesn't end with Wolverine fighting another Wolverine.
That's
well, no,
true.
but it does.
It ends
does.
with him fighting the Juggernaut.
It does. He fights himself in two different people. There's the guy who has like the bones that
There's
come out of
there's
his
He
fist.
does have
Bone
Bone
Man. There's
Man.
Bone Man.
Bone Man.
There's the Bone
It was
Man.
Boner.
but-
It's my
There's
newest
Boner.
creation. boner.
Then there's the other guy who can also
There was
regrow
the
limbs.
grow guy that he kicks in the
Kicks
nuts.
in the- yeah.
That one's also weird because
He says
that's just
regrow
Wolverine's-
those. Why
That's
wouldn't he
just
be able
Wolverine.
to? Is there a specific
I'm sure
reason?
he can. Yeah.
Also, that's just Wolverine's power. He can also do that. If anything, this dude does
Right.
it better because he can do it in seconds.
Yeah.
Which that's fine. The mutants have never been terribly creative. Like a lot of them just have
Right.
very similar powers, other
Well,
than the
yeah.
X-Men. All of the
Well,
non-main player mutants are just variations of everyone else's power.
But like
Right.
the first
There's only
movie,
so many powers.
Like
the
even
first-
Jean is just a variation on Xavier's power.
the
Oh,
first
sure.
movie, like, yeah, it has a bit of the like this happens, so this needs to
Not
happen.
a bit.
But
It's the movie.
no, but like,
And we
it is
talked
the
about
movie,
it
yeah.
when we watched it.
It's
Most-
a lot of that.
But most of the movie has a relatively natural progression, in that, like,
Sure.
Rogue runs away. She accidentally runs into Logan. They both get ambushed. That draws Logan in. That and pushes Rogue into this like area. They then manipulate Rogue so she needs to run away, and Logan
It
feels
does.
a pull
It
to her.
does feel much more like a legitimate plot. Yes,
Because
and-
it's
it
one
has
plot. It's
a
not
legitimate
two plots
plot.
building towards nothing.
one-
It's
but this
it's
one-
one plot building towards a climax. This is two plots building towards
But this
nothing.
one, like, legitimately
I'm building
just
towards a
has-
major finish here.
This one legitimately just has like Jean wakes up. They go to check on Logan. He's like, "Oh, Jean's awake." Professor X looks into his mind. He's like, "Oh, I know where she is," and she's at her house for no reason. They never like. There's no.
I mean, that makes sense.
It's a childhood
That's not
home.
that
It's.
big of an issue.
I mean, in theory, it's like that's the dark or Phoenix persona would be like
and was also blocked away. Yeah, from when she was-
childlike version. Yeah,
But
has
the
been locked away
problem is
since Jean was a
the
child.
problem's not, oh, she went to her childhood home. The problem is she doesn't matter. The problem
no.
is not like,
Yeah.
oh, they did this thing with the Phoenix part of the plot and it blah blah blah. That part of the plot doesn't matter. The Cure part of the plot doesn't matter because neither of them are the conclusion of
spent-
this movie. Like that's the problem.
We spent so long talking about how the movie's plots don't make sense. We haven't even talked about Juggernaut's rubber body.
Ah, Juggernaut's rubber
I mentioned
body.
it.
I like it.
One giant helmet on Vinnie Jones' rubber body.
She had a concrete bag for a helmet. She had no body. Rubber was still very much in play.
No, I think it's fine. It's 2006.
Sure.
It's 2006.
I think it was Bob that said it while we were watching that the stupid Juggernaut design
Yeah, that's true.
is the because that's where the rubber suit is most noticeable in his
that's
in
when
his
they have to like
exposed
the X
torso.
crust.
Like the arms, sure, whatever. They could tone those down a little bit,
did
make it
for
seem a bit more
sure
natural.
notice the arms. Probably the most.
Sure.
Because they had one vein running down the bicep that never moved.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like the
Sure,
body really.
I think if they did somewhat more of like a prosthetic mix more so than just a big rubber mold arm
Yeah,
and
because
just
whenever he
a
moves,
big rubber leather fake metal looking chest piece that covers all of it so you don't need to have a rubber stomach.
like whenever he moves, it's so
fine.
clearly just one piece that he can't like turn or do
Yeah,
anything
there's
with.
definitely that.
Right.
I don't
Well, he's the
mind it.
Juggernaut
I
bitch.
think
He is
that's
the Juggernaut.
better than the alternative. Which I guess the real alternative is they design a suit that doesn't look that bad. This is your
Right.
design. This is what you're charged with executing. I think
But
rubber
they-
is better
but
than
it's
had
the-
they
it's
animated
the-
it.
Sure, but it's that they chose to do that, like
Yeah,
knowing their own limitation, or at least
Yeah, like,
presumably
if-
knowing their own limitations. Like,
If they were handed this and they were like, "Oh, you need to do this," and they were like, oh, "Okay, I guess fine," but they chose to handicap themselves and then be like, "Oh,
Well,
we're
but
gonna make
it's
it look
such different
worse."
departments. The people who are making the concepts are
Sure,
passing
I-
that design along to
I
the people designing the
guess.
I
costumes.
suppose.
Like it's different, and I don't like the design. It does fit this world. Like it's
Yeah, but I feel like
he's just a
there's
little
there's a
freak.
design that's not just his silly comic all red thing. Like just make that black or a darker red and give him
Sure.
that concrete big
Sure.
heavy concrete helmet.
But is
And that's
this like weird
fine.
little prisoner, which is all he is in this
It's
movie?
it's funny that they brought.
And the thing is, you can still do that like weird twink metal strappy looking effect. Just do it like over the
Yeah,
armor,
for sure.
or
yeah.
All I'm saying is
maybe not even
what-
armor. Do that over just like a shirt.
What for sure
You know,
happens
like
is
put a shirt over the rubber
the
suit.
concept artist drew this, and they were like, "This looks sick," and then they passed it along to the people who have to make the costume, and they're like, "They cast Vinnie Jones. He doesn't look like this, so we're gonna make a rubber mold," and then they put him in it. And it's
Sure,
fine
that's fine.
for
I'm
what
saying
it
do
is.
all that. Yeah, but whatever. He's the Juggernaut, bitch.
Right. I mean, like yes, there are all kinds of ways to fix it, but at the same time, it's fine for a movie from a movie that's not great from 2006.
Right.
You know?
It is far from the biggest problem with this movie.
Right.
Well,
you
It's
know?
also
Yeah.
far from the worst effect
I
in
also-
this movie or
th-
costume even in this movie.
Yeah.
This is like this is
It
kind of
may be
unrelated.
the worst
It's
costume.
But I
probably
just-
the worst
I
costume.
love that this movie, during the scene where Magneto breaks out Mystique and Juggernaut and Mystique gets written out of the film.
Juggernaut.
Right, and James Franco's multiple
Well,
men.
that's the thing. I was gonna say they introduced multiple men for that one scene
just
where
for
Which
for
is
him
awesome.
to.
And then-
It's a cool
I mean, it was
scene.
cool. It was in. Again, it worked. It worked to service the plot, sort of, barely,
But that's this movie.
very barely.
Not only is that this movie, but that's also the first X-Men movie, and a little bit of X2. Not as much though.
A little bit. Most so this one.
Yeah,
but
for sure. Yeah, for sure more so this one. I don't know. I think there are pros and cons to this movie. This movie is a whole lot of fun.
this movie, I think this one went quicker
movie's
than the
a
other
movie.
two.
Oh yeah, I think it's a little shorter.
It blazes through. Yeah.
I think it's a little shorter. It's super fun. Like it's a whole lot of fun to watch, especially like with
lot of
some
red.
friends, whatever. Like you're just all watching this.
Yeah,
movie. It's
just yapping,
probably
watching
one of the
a
most fun
little X-Men.
of these. It's also
Maybe.
it's also one of
It's
the most
like-
frustrating kinds of movies because
It's
it's
like
one of
it's
those
like also
Sure.
you can see how to fix it, but you're not there yet.
it's
like
also one of,
like with Spider-Man 3 again. Like Spider-Man 3, it's a film about Leia's.
it's a film about family, and that's what's so
right.
important about it.
But no, like you can see the vision, you can see all the elements that work and all
It's
the
just a little
ways
unfocused.
in which they didn't work in this movie, you know?
It's also this is like a turning point kind of movie where,
Oh, really?
but well, like before this, the first two movies were scared to be comic book movies. Like they kept on trying to distance themselves from that.
This
And
one
then
did,
this
feel
one-
This one-
it
this
definitely
one-
did embrace the comiciness a little bit more,
A
like,
little
they're
but
taking
more,
a-
but not a
They're
ton.
taking a few. No, I'm not saying they're like jumping into Deadpool 3, but like you had the Sentinel at the start, you had the
You had
Danger
a
Room
Sentinel.
hologram, you had
Yeah.
They had a generic robot. It was barely a
yeah,
sentinel.
but you still
It was a- it was a Sentinel that wasn't purple.
it was a like,
like-
what I'm saying
It was
is
a
you would
giant
not
robot head in a training exercise. Like
Yeah,
it's
but
not
what-
like
what
it
I'm-
was
what I'm
actually
saying
part of the
is-
plot.
no, but what I'm saying
Sure.
is you wouldn't have seen that in the previous two movies whatsoever. Like they're
Yeah.
still they're taking those steps, which
I think
in,
even having Beast, I'd say that's.
yeah, having
I mean, they had
Beast-
Mystique.
Beast
They
is
had
a
Mystique,
way better example.
admittedly, already, but,
but like I'm saying
But
that as
it's a little
I'm-
goofier to have him like in a suit in a courtroom than Mystique
Right.
naked running around with
yeah,
Magneto.
and Mystique always. I mean, she was always hard. She was like snapping dudes' necks with her feet and shit.
they also had
um,
Nightcrawler in the second one too.
True,
So they
true,
had
but
plenty
also
of the
he
mutants
was
that don't look human.
right.
It's just he's literally wearing a suit sitting in a. In
Well,
a
like,
form.
but-
it's how
but-
silly they do him.
What I'm
yeah.
saying is like this one, I could see the progression of this one to Days of Future Past. Whereas if you look
Sure.
at X-Men 1 or X-Men
Sentinels,
2,
yeah.
and you like if you watched X-Men 1 and X-Men 2 and then Days of Future Past, there's such a disconnect in
You'd be real confused as to why these other
You-
actors
well,
are
yeah.
here.
You'd be confused as to why Professor X is now 30 years younger and has hair and is walking, but you'd also be confused if you saw First Class and that happened.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
the serum makes him walk. It fixes his
We'll talk about that. We'll get there.
Paralyzed
We'll
body.
get there. We'll get there. We'll get there.
Will we?
I just I like what this movie could have been. I love what this movie could have been.
I like the
decently like what
movie.
it is.
But it
Yeah.
could have been so much better.
Could have been so much more. This could have been a really this could have been one of the great comic book trilogies.
It really could have. Like if you
This
gave
could have been a movie.
if you gave it a bit
Said
more
it better
time,
than any of us could have, Dan.
Coulda, shoulda, woulda, you know.
it's fine. They tried again 10 years later, and that one worked out really
And
well.
they failed worse.
They
Oh,
failed so badly that they ended up just giving the
they
entire
just
company
gave
away.
up. Yeah.
They failed so badly they gave up the parent company.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
That'll do it.
Yeah, thanks for sticking around this long. If you've been watching, go ahead and send this to someone you know who really likes X-Men 3.
Send it
Yeah,
to,
send this to,
Oliver Trask, who changes from a normal-sized man in this film to Peter Dinklage.
Well, as we established while watching, he was one of the first mutants to have the cure
The
tested on
cure.
him, and his mutation made him who was born as a normal sized black man or black baby, Bambalam.
Well, a pretty big black baby.
Well, he was a little larger. I don't know. Maybe he grew into that,
He had
but
big bones.
but his mutation made him a little white man, specifically Peter Dinklage.
Right.
But then he got that little chemo kids, Excelsior super fans, my new superhero chemo kid.
Jesus.
He got his spine fluid or whatever, and then bing bang boom.
Yeah, didn't they say that the
back to being
cure's made
black.
out of his spinal
something.
fluids?
We didn't
Who
even really
cares?
talk about the Cure Kid, but it doesn't matter.
There's a cure kid. He's
The
there.
Cure Kid just exists
He
for
made the
there to be.
Juggernaut run into the wall and knock himself out.
He exists for there to be
So.
some like moral gray area. About
That's
the
what I was
Cure.
gonna say. The Cure
Right.
Kid just exists to make you dislike the humans for presenting a cure because it's actually a half decent idea. As an optional thing,
Sure.
the cure
Right,
is a
right.
good
As an
idea.
optional
Yeah,
thing,
for
the cure is
sure.
fine. The problem is in the movie, it's not presented as an optional thing.
No,
it's
it
more
is
just
presented
like
as an
It's
optional
presented
thing.
as optional until it's clear that it's not going to be
No,
optional.
the only time it's not optional is with the mutant prisoners that they're transporting, and they just have guns with it.
Sure.
And then when they attack the prison, then it's also not optional. It's never presented as not optional in the movie
I mean, the fact that they had guns ready to shoot
because they
at
were
people.
carrying mutant prisoners. I would have
Yeah,
a
they're
gun with the
prisoners.
cure too. Like, what do you mean? If I had
Yeah.
the Juggernaut, who's literally an unstoppable force once he stops running,
Well, it
yeah,
does-
I'm gonna shoot him with a cure.
It does make you wonder why they didn't just inject them in with the cure earlier. Like, why transport them?
We can't get there, but yeah, that's probably what they should have done for sure.
Like they had the cure on them. Why not just hit him with the cure then and then? And you
They
don't have
should
to worry
just
about.
demutinize the prisoners, but that's a whole other discussion.
Right.
But
I'm
yeah,
sure there's
the
moral
cure is
and
kind of
legal
presented as this
implications.
optional thing, like it's not whatever, but they have to make it morally gray, so they make them extract it from a mutant kid's spine and then make the guy who came up with it just the worst because he made his son cut his wings off.
Yeah.
And that's X-Men 3.
Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week when we watch X-Men Days of Future Past, the Rogue Cut.
Days of
Excelsior, super fans!
Excelsior, super
My
fans.
new superhero, the
Rogue.
Rogue Cut.
All right, we'll see you next time.